Welcome back. My Father's Business, Our Father's Business, 40 days, 40 nights. This is part 19. We got 11 days left. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Matthew 7:16. We serve God by serving others. In our self-serving culture, with this me-first mentality, acting like a servant is not popular. Everyone wants to lead. No one wants to be a servant. To be like Jesus is to be a servant. That's what he called himself. Without a servant's heart, you will be tempted to misuse your shape for a personal gain. Your shape reveals your ministry, but your servant's heart will reveal your maturity. God often tests our hearts by asking us to serve in ways we're not shaped. Your primary ministry should be in the area of your shape, but your secondary service is wherever you're needed. Anyone could be a servant. Make yourself available to serve. Just like a soldier, a servant must always be standing by for duty. 2 Timothy 2:4. Servants do what's needed, even when it's inconvenient. Are you available to God anytime? As a servant, you don't get to pick and choose when or where you will serve. Servants see interruptions as appointments for ministry and are happy for the opportunity to practice serving. Servants pay attention to needs. Servants are always on the lookout for ways to help others. Galatians 6:10. Opportunities to serve don't last long. You might only get one chance to serve that person, so take advantage of that moment. Proverbs 3:28. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, and to all the people you can, as long as you can. Servants do their best with what they have. Servants don't make excuses, procrastinate, or wait for better circumstances. Just do what needs to be done. God expects you to do what you can with what you have wherever you are. Almost everything we do is done poorly when we first start doing it. That's how we learn. It doesn't have to be perfect for God to use it and bless it. Whatever they do, servants do it with all their heart. Galatians 3:23. Jesus specialized in tasks that everyone else tried to avoid: washing feet, helping kids, fixing dinner, and serving the handicapped. Small tasks show big heart. Your servant's heart is revealed in little acts that others don't think of doing. As when Paul gathered bushwood for a fire to warm everyone after the shipwreck. Acts 28:3. He was just as tired as everyone else, but he did what everyone needed. Just do the not so great stuff and God will assign you whatever he wants you to do. Sometimes you serve upward in those in authority, and sometimes you serve downward to those in need. Servants are faithful to their ministry. Servants finish their tasks, fulfill their responsibilities, keep their promises, and complete their commitments. Faithfulness has always been a rare quality. Can you be counted on by others? Are there promises you need to keep, vows you need to fulfill, or commitments you need to honor? God is testing your faithfulness. Abraham, Moses, Samuel, David, Daniel, Timothy, and Paul were all called faithful servants of God. Matthew 25:23. Faithful servants never retire. You would never retire from serving God. Servants maintain a low profile. Instead of acting to impress and dressing for success, they put on an apron of humility to serve one another. Eye service. Serving to impress people with how spiritual you are. This was a sin of the Pharisees. They turned helping others, giving, and even prayer into a performance for others. Jesus hated this and warned. Matthew 6:1. We should be content with quietly serving in the shadows. Unfortunately, many leaders today start off as servants but end up as celebrities. They became addicted to attention, unaware that always being in the spotlight blinds you. Notoriety means nothing to real service because they know the difference between performance and significance. God is going to openly reward some of his most obscure and unknown servants. People we never heard of on earth, who taught special kids with special needs, cleaned up after the elderly, nursed aged patients, and served in thousands of other unnoticed ways. Knowing this, don't be discouraged when your services unnoticed are taken for granted. Keep on serving God. 1 Corinthians 15:58. Even the smallest service is noticed by God. and will be rewarded. Remember the words of Jesus, Matthew 10:42. Service starts in your mind. God is always more interested in why we do something than in what we do. 2 Chronicles 25:2. Service focus on others, not themselves. When was the last time you emptied yourself for someone else's benefit? It's only when we forget ourselves that we do the things that deserve to be remembered. Some people try to use service as a bargaining tool. Real service don't try to use God for their purposes. They let God use them for his purpose. Philippians 2:20-21. Admittedly, it's a daily struggle. A lesson must be relearned over and over. How do you react when you're taken for granted, bossed around, or treated as an inferior? Matthew 5:41. Servants think like stewards, not owners. Remember that God owns it all. Servanthood and stewardship go together. Since God expects us to be trustworthy in both, 1 Corinthians 4:1-2, how are you handling the resources God has entrusted you? To become a real servant, you're going to have to settle the issue of money in your life. Luke 16:13. It is impossible living for the ministry and living for money. Which one will you choose? All of your time belongs to God. Money has the greatest potential to replace God in your life. When Jesus is your master, money serves you. But if money is your master, you become his slave. The Bible is very clear. God uses money to test your faithfulness and as a servant. That's why Jesus talked more about money than he did about heaven or hell. Luke 16:11. How you manage your money affects how much God can bless your life. Kingdom builders change the rules of the game. They still try to make as much money as they can, but they do it in order to give it away. Servants think about their work, not what others are doing. They don't compare, criticize, or compete with other service or ministry. They're too busy with their work God has given them. We are all on the same team. Our goal is to make God look good, not ourselves. We've been given different assignments and we're all uniquely shaped. There's no place for petty jealousy. Any time spent criticizing others is the time that could have been spent ministry. Romans 14:4. It is not our job to defend ourselves against criticism. If you serve like Jesus, you can expect to be criticized. Mary took the most valuable thing she owned, expensive perfume, and poured it over Jesus. It was called a waste by the disciples, but Jesus called it significant, and that's all that mattered. Your service to Jesus is never wasted no matter what others say. Matthew 26:10. Servants don't have nothing to prove or prove their worth. They willingly accept jobs that others would say is beneath them. Washing feet was the lowest, like a shoe shiner boy. Servants find status symbols unnecessary, and they don't measure their worth by their achievements. The closer you get to Jesus, the less you need to promote yourself. Servants think of ministry as an opportunity, not an obligation. They enjoy helping people, meeting needs, and doing ministry. Why do they serve with gladness? Because they love the Lord. They're grateful for his grace. They know serving is the highest use of life, and they know God has promised their reward. Jesus promised. It doesn't matter what your age is, God will use you if you will begin to act and think like a servant.